Hi, everybody. It's Neil Walters of neilsvideos.com. Sorry I've been away for a few weeks. Just been busy. I've been trying to play and compete a little bit with the TownStar. I haven't had time for spider tanks, even though I kind of wanted to get into that. Let me show you my game from no, this is my practice game. So last week, I wasn't even in the top 2,000 unless maybe after removing cheaters I get up there, but I don't think I made it in the top 2,000. So I'm trying to figure out what's so bad about my game. You know, if I'm going to teach people how to play, I need to be in the top group, right? So this is my latest build, and I've got some ideas how to improve it. This was on a practice server that I did starting Saturday through really today. And I haven't worked it really hard. You know, I kick around sometimes, edit. And that's one of the things, if you're on the competition servers and really competing, you know, you've got to be checking your game all the time. And I have some tips on that that I've learned that I'll share probably in a separate video. In this video, real quick, I want to show you my new power plant complex here. And I bought a new NFT. This is called the HauntedEastWing. So I was shopping around on OpenSea.io and looked like something, you know, Ethereum price being low and such. It looked like there were just some good things for sale. So I think it was a few months ago I bought my third water tower here, and I actually had a build the other day where I only had, I think, one or two ponds on my whole board. I think that was for the power plants, because I had two rivers. This game, I picked a mountain. I thought maybe I'll do some mountain stuff, but then when I got in the game, I just did the good old uniform build. And I've seen other people's uniform builds where they have a lot more fabric plants than me, and I'm still going to try to study those and see what I'm doing different than them. One thing might have to do with speed. Some of the people have these NFTs called the skins that can actually speed up your characters. And so if everybody's running, say, 25% faster, then they're going to be able to get more wool and more crops and so on. And maybe that's why I like right now, I think I'm kind of maxed out. Like I could build another few fabric plants, but I like wool right now is my shortage. Like I usually have one or two wool right now. Well, now I have six. So you know, once you get up to say 3 to 8 wool, it's time to build another fabric plant to do wool, but you're constantly balancing your wool and your cotton. So let me show you back to what I was going to say, my how this works here. So this is, again, I'm clicking on it. It's called the Haunted East Wing. I don't know, they have an East Wing and a West Wing, but they seem to do the exact same thing. It's like an oil seep. It basically provides two oils to everything beside it. So right beside it, I have these two refineries, and the refineries, if we hit the craft button, they're making, of course, petroleum, which takes to crude oil. So the big benefit of this is basically you don't have to have any oil pumps anywhere in your town. So normally I would have anywhere from 3 to maybe 8 oil pumps, depending on what I needed. And sometimes the reason you need, sometimes, okay, let's go back. 3 oil pumps is usually good enough to make gas for most scenarios, I find. But if you need to create batteries sometimes, batteries also take crude oil. So let's go look right here. This is my first power plant. And you say he's constantly making energy or batteries. So if we look at the craft on that, it also takes 2 crude oil plus 1 water drum. So he's getting the water here from the water pump. And the way, again, the grids work is this thing provides 2 all the way around, like in a grid. And I think it provides 1, you know, further space away than that. But I'm only utilizing it for the things closest to it. So really, I have 3 things that are basically using the crude oil. And I could put more here, like if I needed another power plant to make more energy, I could have put that here, but I have my 2 lumber yards here. I have 1 more lumber yard out here next to this power plant. And then behind it, you can't really see it unless I rotate it, I actually have another refinery, but I'll tell you what I'm doing there. I decided to make jet fuel, and I think that was kind of a cool decision. The way I laid this out, see, I have here refinery, refinery, refinery. So the first 2 to get the game going, of course, is you got to have your 1 to make petroleum, 1 to make gas. And I decided, well, with the layout I have here, I have room for another refinery. And refineries are cheap compared to power plants. So power plants are $250,000 right now, and refineries are only 15. So it seems like they're kind of disproportional. So I built another refinery here, and I have it making jet fuel. And the first night of the game, that actually, I think, contributed to helping me have a lot more cash to be able to build out all my houses and things the next morning. So that little bit of extra jet fuel was one other thing I could sell that just creates cash overnight. And then after a while, at first I put this refinery here. I thought I would make um, what is it, petroleum with it, but then it doesn't have a source of water, and I didn't want to build another. Well, actually, I don't need any more crude oil right now because really this is creating all the batteries I need. And actually, I use the auto cell to sell once I get over say 25 batteries or whatever. It sells them because I don't want my warehouse to fill up with all those batteries where I don't have room for my other products in my warehouse. So I turn this on for jet fuel, and then it needs, of course, to water. So I went ahead and built a stupid water tank over here. Like I said, I prefer water pumps usually, but I just decided, well, I had a lot. I still see, I still have unused spaces on my board, especially back then. I had a lot of unused spaces. Oops, let me turn that back. So I put a pond there, and that's giving it 2 water. And of course, the water facility needs 3. So see, right now it's waiting on 1 water. Now I could have put a water well or another pond there, but then it would actually make too much water. So the way it's working now is it gets 2 waters from this pond, and then he has to walk all the way over here down the left side of the board. And way over here in this corner, there's a couple of water wells, and that's where he gets his 3rd water from. So I purposely have him walking all that distance just to slow him down. And you can see right now I have 9 water, what are they called? Water barrels. At first it would seem to be balancing where it was just creating 2 just in time to make the jet fuel, but something seems to change. And all of a sudden I got a little too much water still. But anyway, that was my theory on that water facility. To get this last one down here to do the jet fuel, I did have to create a 3rd water pump. Look at the craft on that. It needs 2 water drums as well and needs 3 petroleum. And that's why I was thinking I would have maybe 3 refineries doing petroleum. But like I said, really I think 2 is making as much as it needs. I haven't really tried to monitor that too closely. There's so many other things to monitor. So I just look at that as a little bit of free extra money, at least when starting the game. My very first fabric plant was right here, and because it had energy from both of these power plants, so it could get enough to make uniforms. So that's one of my uniform makers. But of course, at first I made cotton with it, then I made wool with it, and I switched it back and forth. So at the beginning, you can flip back and forth because every one of these fabric plants is 500,000. And then, of course, I had the lumber yard, lumber mill here at the very beginning because they had to make lumber to build the power plants, right? And then I built these 2 fabric plants, and then I think my next fabric plants, they're over here because they're across the street from these power plants, so they also get energy passively, even though they're across the street. And then I eventually built another power plant down here, and he powers, let's see, all 8, 9, 10 of these fabric plants. I was thinking about building another power plant right here, and I still can. And that way he would power this one, and then I could have 2 more here. And if I had to move the logger houses, I could maybe move them, but I'm running out of spaces, right? Having that there would power him. But this one right now is just living off the batteries. So when he needs energy, the worker there has to walk to a warehouse and get a battery. So it's a little slower than the other fabric plants, but I think it's still better than not having one. I mean, it's better than you really don't want unused spaces, I don't think, at this late of the game. But on the other hand, you got to look at your supply. If there's no cotton for it or no wool for it, then why have it? So right now, yeah, I have lots of cotton. And the wool, I think, is now up a little higher than what it's been. So, yeah, it looks like I could afford another fabric. I mean, I have the money, obviously, but I think I now could utilize another fabric plant to do wool and maybe another one for cotton. But this is a test server, so pretty easy just to do that, but I'm not sure at this point in the game I'll take any more time to do that. So I'll get my NFTs off here and get ready for the competition at 11 o'clock today and see if I can do better this week. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next video.